Howdy everyone, Greg Martin, the Entrepreneur's Banker here, and it is Wednesday, April the 1st. Happy April Fool's Day. I wish to God that I could tell you that the last 3 weeks have been one cruel cosmic joke and it's all going back to normal, but I can't. But I do have a lot of optimism for today for a couple reasons. One, it's the entrepreneurs that are out there. Thank you so much for those of you that have reached out to me that have gotten any value out of these videos. That means so much to me. But I really want to say thank you to you for being as strong as you are, for showing the determination, the grit, everything that you have demonstrated between talking with your employees, with your suppliers and vendors, with your customers, with your entire financial ecosystem and business ecosystem. You guys continue to rock. You guys continue to show amazing strength and courage and ingenuity, and it's just so humbling to be able to work alongside you. I don't want to sound cheesy. I don't want to sound like a cat poster or anything like that, but seriously, I am so humbled by your strength and what you're doing, and thank you for doing what you're doing. It really gives me the energy that I need. I know you're working late and getting up early. I'm trying to do the same thing because how in this time, how dare I think that I should not be putting in as much energy as you are. So we're going to talk about two things today. First thing, very quickly, I just want to have a quick update to some inaccurate information that I put out yesterday. Thank you to Nathan Green and the team at Spirit Advisors for showing me the verbiage in the law that talks about the $10,000 advance on the economic injury disaster loan, the EIDL loan. I said yesterday that I wasn't sure if it needed to be paid back or if it would be forgiven. The way that I read the law is that if you get the advance, the advance may not be forgiven. And the only reason I say that, I know the law says it doesn't have to be forgiven, but later on in the guidelines, it says that if you get a PPP, you're going to have to refinance that advance with the PPP. Remember, you cannot double dip between the two programs. So this kind of leads me to believe that you, honestly, I don't know if you can apply for both. If an application of either program excludes one from the other, I don't know. But I know that because of that, you cannot receive funds from either program. So if you accept funds from one, you're going to be excluded from funds from the other. Again, that is not, I don't know that 100%. Hopefully, we'll get some clarification on that very, very soon. The second thing, and again, the most important part of the thing is the SBA PPP loan application is live. And I'll put a link to the website is that you can go ahead and download it. It's very simple, but there is some ambiguity in the simplicity. And so some things I want to just kind of talk through. This is extremely encouraging to me, though. This tells me that the SOP is done or very, very near done. And then so logically, the SOP would be shared, if it hasn't already, been shared with the lender so that then the lenders could then interpret that SOP and figure out, okay, how are they going to do that? Because remember, all of these loans are going to be received, processed, approved, and dispersed by the lenders. It's not the SBA. So the lenders have to obviously adhere to the SBA's SOP in order to make sure that the government guarantee, which is a risk deterrent for the lender standpoint, and I can nerd out about any risks that the banks have in this. If you really want, hit me up on LinkedIn, hit me up on Facebook, email me. But really, the lenders need to figure out what this process is. And that process is everything from how are we going to accept applications? Is it going to be old school, print it out, hand jam it, hand it to me along with a bunch of supporting documentations? Or is it going to be new school? Hey, here's a website and a secure portal, just like the EIDL website, and where you type everything in and maybe submit the supporting documentation. There is going to need to be supporting documentation. It's not just the application. But as you go through it, all this stuff has to be figured out. Additionally, there needs to be questions of what that supporting documentation is. I believe and I hope that the SOP will kind of spell out what that is. I think that based on the information that I read, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, that that's going to happen primarily be payroll information. Duh, no surprise there, since the whole thing is, the size is revolving around the payroll. But what specifically is that? Is it just a payroll report that your payroll company provides you? Is it a stack of your W-2s? Is it your W-3s? Is it your retirement plan information that documents the amount that you paid into that as an paid for expenses as an employer? Is it for like an employee match or administrative costs? Is it part of your insurance requirements? So how are you going to document, how are you going to identify what your full-time equivalent or FTE is? I'm sure that it's probably more than you just writing on a piece of paper and signing. It's that I had 82 and a half FTEs during this period. So all of that has to be done. And so what is the definition of an FTE? All of that, definitely more to come. But again, we are moving forward. So good progress, continue to stay positive. All right, so another thing that the banks need to decide, and this is my personal opinion. I have zero information from any banks to include my employer. I don't know how they're going to proceed, but banks are going to need to make the determination. Are we going to extend these loans to clients? Are we going to extend them to non-clients? What is a client? And this is important, and I'm not going to nerd out on bank stuff, but really you need to know that if you work with a bank, then the bank is required to conduct a Bank Security Act / anti-money laundering assessment of you and your business. And if you already have a relationship with a bank, this BSAAML, to use bank acronyms, has already been done. So if there is a bank that decides to extend this to non-bank clients, then be prepared to provide additional information documenting who you are, your company, stuff like that. Again, I have no idea. Each individual bank is going to make their own decision for themselves. But I just want you to be aware. Again, this is about empowering you to understand what's going on a little bit. So what I'd recommend is that you go out, you reach out to your banker and ask them, okay, so I know the application's there. How is your bank going to receive the application? What documentation do you need? What is the timeline? The applications should start to be received by Friday, April the 3rd. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done between now and then. Please, I've had this same conversation probably 50 times a day. Please be gracious in understanding that your banker is extremely motivated to get this done. The banks are extremely motivated to help the clients, but we've got to get it right. And so if the answer is I just don't know, and I will tell you as soon as I do know, please believe that they're not trying to put you to the back of the line or anything. Every client is critical and every client's important. So, okay, let's talk about the application. Really simple application. It should take less than 10 minutes to fill out. A couple things that I want to point out. At the very top, there are 5 boxes. Not-for-profit, veterans organization, tribal, independent contractor, self-employed. If those don't apply to you, don't worry about it. Don't check them. If they do apply to you, check it. The questions are very, very straightforward. There is, on question 3, there is a discussion about affiliates. The SBA has waived their affiliation rule. I won't nerd out too much on what it is. There is a link in the email that you can go to the SBA website and learn all about it. But in short, if you own another company or a part of another company, then you're going to have a piece of paper that you have the name of the other company, the tax ID of the other company, the owners of the company, their percentage ownership, and their titles. Just be prepared to do that. Okay, what I really want to talk about, there's a couple confusing points around it. One, the confusing point is around how to calculate how the average monthly payroll is calculated. And quote, in the instructions it says, for the purpose of calculating average monthly payroll, most applicants will use the average monthly payroll for 2019. This is different than the previous guidance where we had before that said it started from February 15th, 2019, going through a year before you received the loan. So just pointing that out. Excluding costs over $100,000, no change. on the annualized basis for each employee. For seasonal businesses, the applicant may elect to instead to use average monthly payroll from the time period between February 15th, 2019 and June 30th, 2019, excluding costs over $100,000 on an annualized basis for each employee. No change. For new businesses, averaging monthly payroll to be calculated using the time period from January 1st, 2020 to February 29th, 2020, excluding costs over $100,000 on an annualized basis for each employee for startups. No change there. So really it's coming down to, if you were in business last year, what are we going to use? And I don't know. Based on this information, it is logical to assume that it's going to be payroll, obviously payroll driven. So if you have a payroll provider, I know that some clients of mine use ADP, and ADP has actually designed a specific payroll report to help support this. That's good, but then what is going to be the additional documentation that's needed? Again, it'll probably be your W-2, perhaps your W-3, potentially some additional information from your insurance company, from your retirement benefits company, if you have a 401k plan or something like that. So a lot of information to come, just need to continue to work through it. I want to apologize. Again, this has been very fluid. I want to apologize if anybody had kind of started going down the trail of getting weekly, monthly, or bi-weekly information for your payroll. I'm just trying to give the information as best that I can. I'm not saying that was a wasted effort, but if you did that, it ends up you don't end up needing that. I am so very sorry for that. Again, I'm just trying to give you the best information and say, okay, if I were in your shoes, here's something I would do. Please forgive me for that. So real quickly, a couple other things I want to point out that these are really, really good and really, really confusing at the same time. So the interest rate throughout everything has been no more than 4%. Well, it came out yesterday, and it came out at 0.5%. I mean, holy cow, that is amazing. That's a great interest rate. So on the flip side, it said that the term of the loan will be 2 years. Now, this is really, really unique, and I don't understand what this means. It's unique because if this is a 2-year fully amortizing note, we need to be aware of that because those payments are going to be significant. And you can go to bankrate.com. You can put in what you think your loan amount minus what you think your forgivable loan amount, your loan balance would be. Okay, so here's the remaining 5%, or excuse me, at 0.5% for 24 months. What is your payment? Be aware of that. So I don't know if it is a 2-year loan or is this a 10-year loan like we talked about with a 2-year term on a 2-year balloon. That's really unique because up until now, the SBA has never allowed balloons on that. That was actually one of the things that they said was a negative loan structure that allowed you to refinance a traditional loan into an SBA loan. So we just don't know what's going to happen to the guarantee after this. Again, this is these are unsecured, non-guaranteed loans that's guaranteed by the government, not guaranteed by the owners. It's guaranteed by the SBA. So after these 2 years, does the SBA guarantee go away? I don't know. I don't mean to spin up and cause a lot of confusion. I'm just saying that these are questions that will be addressed with the SOP and as we go through it. So this is a fluid situation. Let's continue to work together. But that 0.5% interest rate is really, really good. So man, that's fantastic for the entrepreneurs out there. I want to wrap up today just kind of saying, hey, we are one step closer to this, one step closer to getting you the capital that a lot of you desperately need. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your strength. I also want to thank Jason Beasley with the Beasley Group for giving me a primer on W-2s and W-3s and payroll processing. That's obviously something I don't deal with on a day-to-day basis in my world. I just kind of look at the aggregate salaries number. So thank you, Jason, for kind of helping out with that. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak into your business. I really want to make this very, very clear, and I hope that this is clear. Everything that I say here, these are my opinions. I'm not speaking for my employer. I'm not speaking for everybody except for me. That being said, I'm also not giving advice on what you should or should not do. I'm saying the intent is to say, here are the things that I think you need to consider, but you need to make sure that you engage your professional counsel, your attorney, your CPA before you make any specific decisions on, this is the application that I want to go, this is the route I want to go down, here's what I want to go through. I'm not making any advice. I don't assume any liability for the decisions you make. I mean, we are all adults. We're all professionals. I just want to try to give you my take on this. So kind of take it for what it's worth. But really, at the end of the day, I'm honored and I'm humbled that this video and this email series has brought even a small amount of value to you. I'm so encouraged and proud of the entrepreneurs that I've worked with and I've talked with over the last couple days. If there's anything that I can do, please connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on Facebook. Please feel free to share this video to anyone, and I'd love to connect with them as well. So hang in there. Until tomorrow, this is Greg Martin, the Entrepreneur's Banker. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.